once it found the devices, it listed them in this window, and the left window where it says device name, that is a user-defined label. You get to decide what that says. On default, it will just use the IP information from the device. The second column is the host name. This is the actual IP address of the box. You can't change this label. However, you can change the IP address of the box, and I'll show you that in a moment. The next column is the channel information for the transmitters. It is telling me that the transmitter at this address is transmitting on multicast channel 1, and so on. Now, they happen to correlate somewhat, but in fact they don't have to. I could have the first transmitter transmitting on channel 50. They're not tied to each other. You can make a different selection. The status column tells you the state of the devices, whether they're completely connected or that it's trying to establish a connection, and so on. The next little graphics are some of your tools. The first tools are called the blink LED, and that allows me to confirm the location of a receiver. And just as an example, and it probably is going to be hard for you to see on my webcam, but I may say the receiver, I want to display its label on the display it's connected to. So I'll press this button and it will display its information on the screen. And so if you look here, I see my IP address on this output. Okay, so that's a useful installer or diagnostic tool. The next item is the reboot, and obviously if you press this, it will recycle the box. So it will restart. And just as a side note, these boxes can take about 40 seconds to recycle. The gear graphic is for device settings. This is probably the most common one that you'll work in, and this allows you to set the scaling engine. You can rotate images. So there's a number of scaling options that I can do, and I can change the IP methodology, DHCP or static or auto, and I can change the IP address, subnet mask gateway. I can do all that. Another thing I can do is change the label name in here. So in here I may say I don't want it to say the IP address, I want it to say display number 1. So I save that in there, and then you'll see that has changed here accordingly. I can also do a factory reset. Okay, and finally on these tools I can hide transmitters or receivers from the user interface. Maybe there's transmitter or receiver that you don't want the user to know about or have access because maybe it's not authorized for them to use it, or many other reasons, troubleshooting. So you can simply hide that. So I'll just show you. We'll go back to the matrix page for a minute. This is the common user interface here. And you see I've got up here display number 1. So if I go back to device management and I say hide that, and I go back to the matrix page, you see it's gone. It's not removed from the system, it's just not displayed to the user. And then finally, I've got the remove function, and I can take away, I can delete these devices.